Welcome to the Stoic Thunder podcast, taking an ancient philosophy for a 21st century test drive. Learning on the way. Failure is a frightening concept. For the longest time, I saw it as something to avoid for all the usual reasons. Effort wasted, time spent, even maybe embarrassment was a factor. I was actually most anxious to let myself down. That project or idea you put your weight behind, you were determined, you were excited, you told people about it, all for it not to turn out like you wanted, or for it not to be seen through at all. To me, the most damaging aspect of failure is the sense of finality you can get, especially if you put your heart into something. To see it not come to fruition can make some of us feel like never trying again. It can create an unreasonable and frankly degrading blueprint in our minds, showing us that even though we followed the steps we thought were right, the instructions, the detail, it all resulted in a loss. And that can impede future attempts in a powerful and damaging way. You can say that expectation harms the process of creation. And I don't mean having an end goal is a bad thing. But once you segment a particular path in your mind, something that can't be strayed from, it cuts off the possibility of growth. The very idea of creativity is adapting. There are many Stoic quotes regarding dealing with what is, allowing an obstacle to be seen as just a stepping stone to overcome, and in the concept of amor fati, that is for the love of fate, to see your position as the way, instead of lamenting what went wrong. There is a lot of utility in that. But first, you have to fail. I'm not going to try and dress it up. Failing can be painful, but it's not final. It's a bit like growing pains, uncomfortable but necessary. If you try and fail, even repeatedly so, you're already braver than I've been for a lot of my adult life. There are genuine stumbling blocks and hindrances to achieving something, from something small to a lifelong dream. How to use those to your advantage, to create divergent paths, have been essential to getting me where I am today. But I'm not talking about that in this episode. I'm talking about the mammoth task of taking something imaginative and turning it into material reality. You can imagine amazing things for yourself. The story you tell yourself, as Sam Harris often says. And even with anxiety and other neurological processes at play, what's contained in your mind stays exactly that, contained. We were out to dinner recently when I asked my husband what a world without fear would look like. Of course, taken to its most extreme example, it could be quite deadly. People no longer afraid of heights would not suddenly throw themselves off the nearest building in euphoria. But if you want to go Black Mirror about it, there are certain elements of fear that are useful and, of course, save us from ourselves. What I actually meant was, what if for one day everyone shed that weight of self-doubt? All the baggage of past experiences and all the useless and frankly bizarre attempts at prescience we burden ourselves with keeps us cemented. When something is created from inception to reception, in your mind you control every aspect. Once you materialize something, give it physical form, it's there, it exists, it can be judged, tested, criticized, or, if all goes well, received, praised, and even more importantly, be a lasting example of the effort and the process you followed. Inception, creation, completion. There are smaller parts of that journey that brings it all together. But let me tell you what happens when a concept stays in the mind, never finding form. Nothing. It exists only to you. It remains a phantom to everyone else. You can explain it in great detail. But unless you at least attempt an idea, it's always going to be an infant not taking its first step. Dispelling the idea behind failure being something to fear would be, I believe, one of the most groundbreaking psychological feats, on a personal level and certainly on a global scale. There are those who thrive on pressure, who see failure as a challenge, and thank goodness, because a lot of things, ideas, and world-changing events wouldn't have occurred otherwise. Stoicism might not be able to wave a magic wand over your apprehension. It won't make the work less grueling, and in the end, if you try and fail, it will still hurt, on some level. But it will help bring that creativity out into the world, test it, and see if it holds merit. But the most important and rewarding part is that you would have made it happen. Pass or fail, the work was done. Maybe Stoicism will help you see failure as part of life's continuing bookmark moments, something that is a teacher and not as a mark or blemish on your character or efforts. There's something to be said for things running smoothly, but I've learned more about my abilities, my strength, and character from trying and failing than I have from playing it safe. Whether it be an inspired notion brought forth to be useful, or a physical task or accomplishment attempted, or as Seneca puts it, difficulty strengthens the mind, as does labour the body. The dichotomy of control, one of the most practical and helpful aspects of Stoicism, can help you create a mentally clearer and more helpful path. Concentrate on what you can control. That's what you are accountable for. Wanting to affect how others see your efforts perhaps in a way that is beneficial to you is not something within your control once the product is out there. This is scary, I know. But you do have control over the effort, the heart and the vision. And whether it comes with rewards or risks, it's worth it for the lesson and for the shaping of your future attempts. And for the last metaphor of the day, you can encompass your dreams and leave them written in your mind, but they won't reach their potential unless they are manifested physically and the page is turned.